Mm-hmm.
We're going to go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're live.
Welcome back. I'm KHOU 11 meteorologist Tim Pandajis. Want to give you an update on this very active first half of the overnight that we've been dealing with. Right now, no tornado warnings are up. In fact, the tornado watch that was set to expire at midnight has been allowed to do so. We are, however, left with a couple severe thunderstorm warnings. On top of that, the very heavy rainfall has piled up, overwhelmed storage or drainage basins, and has prompted flash flood warnings that you can see in the brighter red polygons there. Just to start things off, to give you a perspective of the area, not everybody dealing with unsettled weather. In fact, off to the west, things have really wound down, and even off to the east, things have quieted down, at least for now, until all of this picks on up. The general line here has been moving from the south to the north. The line itself, a slow mover, but the cells forming along the line are zipping pretty quickly to the north. But what's happening here, since the line itself is moving so slow, we're getting training thunderstorms, and that's prompting the flash flooding potential with all of that rain. If you stepped outside at all today, you can feel it. A tropical air mass is in place, and that is just getting squeezed out by a lot of these cells as they plow on through the area. There's a look there. We'll start things off with the severe thunderstorm warnings that are currently up. We have two of them. One that replaced a tornado warning that was earlier issued for northwestern portions of Harris County and northern portions of Houston. You can see there that severe thunderstorm warning is up for only another 5 minutes here, and that was for the potential of some very gusty winds. We also had noticed noted the difference from this afternoon's cells to now in terms of the hail potential, and we still do have a hail signature just south of Aldine and in between Aldine and Hawthorne Place here, pretty much right along the Hardy Toll Road. And these signatures are not all that impressive, but certainly if you're hearing the heavy rain and then all of a sudden you hear something that sounds like tapping, that may very well be some pea-sized hail at the most making it to the ground in that particular area. But overall, it's just the very heavy rain. And on top of that, the sky tonight is like a strobe light. A lot of lightning associated with these. A lot of times when we get dew points very high, it helps to electrify these storms. So earlier we had lightning rates of 200 to 300 to 400 strikes in 15 minutes or so in some of these cells. Since then, those numbers have come down a bit, but still very, very electrified and lots of thunder and lightning, so it's going to keep you up for a little while longer. That may be a reason why you're watching this stream right now. It is 12:40 on Sunday morning. This whole line here, you can see it stretching all the way back to Richmond and Sugar Land, moving all the way to the northeast at Tascasita and Dogwood Acres, even a Roman Forest. In a loop of the last hour, you can really tell that it hasn't moved very much. It's moving over the same areas. That being said, let's look at hourly rainfall totals. So this is radar estimates just within the last 60 minutes. And right along that line, some of these totals south of Fairbanks here, along I-10, between I-10 and 290, near 3 inches in an hour. Now let's extend that out to the last 3 hours, because certainly it's been raining heavily in those same areas for that amount of time. That same spot is nearly 5 inches of rain in the last 3 hours. That's what's prompted the flash flood warnings that are currently up for those areas. I'll throw the numbers on here again so you can see how long they're up for. There they are. Several flash flood warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings in here as well. Let me take off the severe thunderstorm warning so you can get a better look at the flash flooding potential here. Let's find that. All right. Yeah, it's within there somewhere. But dual severe thunderstorm warnings, one up until 12:45 for another 4 minutes, and one here over the Cleveland area. And this one is up until 1 a.m., so another 20 minutes for that particular cell. Let's take a look now. The reason why these severe thunderstorm warnings are up is because of the wind potential with here. So this is a tool that we've, if you've been watching, that you're a little bit familiar with now, the velocity signature, the wind speeds. There's two shades that you'll see when you look at this product. You have reds and you have greens. Greens is when winds are heading towards our radar site that is near League City, so to the south there, and red is winds that are heading away. When we get the reds and greens close together, we get that spin, that rotation of the atmosphere. With this particular cell, it's a severe thunderstorm warning cell, so we're not seeing a couplet, which is good news. If we were, that would likely prompt the potential of a severe thunderstorm warning, or a tornado warning, excuse me. But some of these winds within this are quite strong. In fact, 62-mile-per-hour winds clocked by the velocity signatures here, 55, 45, and 55. So certainly up to severe thresholds in terms of wind gust potential, and that could certainly take down some trees, some tree limbs and power lines. And within the last hour, there were about 12,000 customers that were in the dark. Now, this other severe thunderstorm warning here, you can see the remnants of what once was some spin or some rotation. There was a couplet that has really spread out and become dissolved, which is why the tornado warning was allowed to expire at 12:15 earlier this morning. And that signature is kind of remaining in place. And overall, we're just seeing straight line wind damage, if in fact there is any wind damage at all with some of these. But some of these wind gusts here, Aldine area, let's put some numbers on the board here. Some of these wind gusts, 43 miles an hour, 47, 46. So still very, very windy in some of these cells, which is why they have a severe thunderstorm warning on them. So there are dual severe thunderstorm warnings, one up over the Cleveland area, one over northwest Harris County or northern Harris County, right on the border with Montgomery, until 12:45. So for about another 2 minutes for that one there. And the one north is up until 1 a.m. Now, once again, let's look at the overall picture here, because there's a lot of action going on in this slow-moving line. Will be with us for a couple of more hours. This is a 2-hour loop, and you can see that there hasn't really been much change, much transgression off towards the east at all, really. And it developed earlier this afternoon well off to the west, and now we're still dealing with the heavy rain as a result. Overall, the picture, though, does show weakening cells, especially to the south, as they're lifting into what is now a very saturated air mass, and that rain is cooling the air as well, and a lot of times that helps to alleviate the severe potential once you get that rain-cooled air in place in some of these spots. So we'll see if that actually holds true as these cells move into it. But another cell that's packing a little bit of a punch is this one out by the Winnie area, Nome, Sour Lake. This is on the fringes of Chambers and over to Liberty as well, heading out towards the Silsbee area in Batson. But our main line is right over Houston, and this cell in Harris County really packing a lot of lightning. In fact, you know, let's throw on how much lightning we've got within this area. Let's see how much lightning, in fact, how many lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes there have been. So 15 minutes, 240 strikes. When you have a lower number of negative strikes and those are starting to decrease, that means that the cell itself is actually starting to weaken a little bit. When you see that number very high and climbing, that's an indication that the storm is actually in the stages of strengthening. This looks to be a mature thunderstorm that it's in the process of weakening and collapsing. But 237 strikes in the last 15 minutes, certainly somewhat impressive for sure, and it is keeping you up and with the thunder and lightning out there for the next couple of hours, moving through northern Harris and over into Montgomery counties for the next hour or so. Now, rainfall totals, let's go back to that, because that's kind of shifting our attention to that, because that'll be the lasting impacts from these cells as they drop on through. So let's go over to the last 6 hours, actually. The last 6 hours of rainfall, right along that line there. Some of these spots are well over 4 inches. Attucks area north of I-10, you see that bullseye there. Let's see how much of that is at Spring Valley. 4.8 inches. South of I-10, nearly 4. A little bit farther south, we'll go over towards New Territory, Greatwood area north of there, Pecan Grove. Some of these spots picking up 3.5 inches, 4 inches in the last 6 hours. So that doesn't even encompass what we dealt with earlier this afternoon. So overall rainfall totals the last 24 hours are impressive, especially in localized areas. This wasn't really widespread for most of the day, yet hit or miss rain. And we had talked about this, that it wouldn't be raining all the time this weekend, but when it did rain, it would be quite heavy, and that's exactly what we've seen play out here over the last couple of hours. But what I'm going to leave you with here is the overall image of what's going on. Severe thunderstorm warning in northern Harris. Let me pull that back up here and see if that was allowed to expire a minute ago at 12:45, and it was, which is some good news. Now we're left with flash flood warnings over here in those same areas for 2 to 3 inch of rainfall rates per hour. Another one, a very large one here to the north, that thankfully not a lot of rain falling in those areas, and one lingering severe thunderstorm warning in the Cleveland area until 1 o'clock, so for about another 13 minutes or so. These storms will be with us for the next several hours, and if we do see any redevelopment of some of these rotations within these cells that have been bubbling up and then dying back down for the last several hours, we will be sure to cut you in and let you know about them. If you get the alerts on your phone, we'll also let you know about those. But we'll be with you on social media and on our digital platforms all night, and if the need warrants, we'll be on television as well.